Hi, I'm Emily Yee, and I'm an LCSW. I'm a therapist in Jacksonville, Florida, and I specialize in working with gifted teenagers and their families. I've been sharing with you guys a lot about cognitive behavioral therapy, and it's a big part of what I do in my work with teenagers. It's a big part of the building blocks of therapy in general and what we understand about the relationship between thoughts and behavior and emotions. And so today we're highlighting behavior activation and how behavior plays a part in depression. And the biggest thing that we want to get rolling when we're feeling depressed is our movement, our behavior, getting things going again. So if you found yourself as a teenager stuck in this cycle of scrolling and then sleeping and not really getting much done else besides those two things, I don't think it's laziness. I think that it's emotional overwhelm, and it might be a little bit of depression. So I want to share with you how cognitive behavioral therapy and behavior activation help us when we are stuck in that rut and might be dealing with a little bit of depression or a lot of depression. Either way, this is going to help. Little choices and action add color back into your life. So we're going to be talking about how to activate our brain and get it moving. And just like as before, we've been talking about how small changes make results. And just getting yourself moving a little bit in the right direction is a big deal. Finding that motivation, knowing exactly what to make your goal is what we're going to be talking about today. So when we're dealing with depression, a lot of times the part of the triangle that we've talked about is cognitive behavioral therapy is the feelings, thoughts, and emotions. The part of the triangle that's taking over when you're feeling depression is the behavior. The behavior says, I just want to chill out. I just want to relax. I just want to hide. And then the feeling that follows is feeling overwhelmed with all the tasks that are like building up on you, feeling worthless, low self-esteem. And it just kind of spirals like this because behavior says, well, I know how to fix it. I just need to rest more. And then the feeling continues to be negative. And so how we want to re-enter the scene is to say, okay, behavior, like you're not in charge. I'm still in charge here. And we need to do a few things that are healthy for us in order to get out of this depression. So the trick with anything, with behavior and with intense teenagers, is to figure out a motivator. And sometimes the motivator is really random. It's like, okay, if I was going to pay you $1,000 to go to school every day this week, would you be able to do it? And they'll be like, yeah, of course. And then we'll kind of talk about, okay, well, how would you do that? Or what would be another motivator? Like what about $5? Or what about getting your nails done? Or time to go shopping? Or a game night with your friends? Or a sleepover? So thinking about what is it that's going to motivate you. And for adults, it can be even more weird, because we don't let ourselves have a lot of things. And so if you tell an adult like, oh, if you help yourself get this done, then you can get an ice cream at Chick-fil-A after your meal. And that's something that you don't usually do. But you think to yourself, yeah, that would be motivating. I will do that for myself. And so figuring out a motivator for yourself is going to be really important and something that we spend a lot of time on in therapy. But also letting these behaviors, since we're talking about depression, they're going to be so small, so manageable and doable to where you can do them and repeat them each day. I guess like an example that comes to mind is if you're really set on, I want to get running again. I used to run every day and I've fallen off. We wouldn't say, okay, tomorrow you're going to run. That sounds like, ooh, there's a reason you haven't been doing it. So if we just say, okay, we're going to do it, it's like probably going to fail. What if we said, tomorrow, why don't you put on your socks? Okay, so I'm just going to wake up and put on my socks. Yep. And that's a win. And then the day after that, put on your shoes, but don't run, just stay home. And it's like, okay, we're building up the momentum through these small behaviors, even though you don't feel like running, but you can put on your socks and shoes. You can go sit in your yard and stretch. You can walk to the end of the sidewalk. And maybe then once we get moving and we have this momentum, you feel like running because you're there. You've kind of pushed through the hardest part, which is starting. So we're talking here about creating habits. And 40% of your day is habitual. You just do it without thinking about it. And these are the things that we want to make sure are habits that are leading in a direction of health and not depression. When we're depressed, just think of your behavior being very still, very sedentary, something that and think of it less as an emotional word and just as a very still movement. And we want to slowly introduce movement into it again. But when we are depressed, that system in our brain that looks forward to a reward is sluggish. It can't quite get there. And so we're having to do little tasks and reward it. And then it's moving bigger and we're able to build up that motivation over time. But it definitely requires a cue, like it's time to wake up, put on my socks. An action, put on my socks. And a reward. After I put on my socks, I get to have my morning smoothie. And so there's something there. And eventually that builds up to after I go for my run, I have my, whatever reward, smoothie and protein powder, whatever you put in it. And those just, and that creates a habit because your body's really happy to receive that. For me, it's very social. So I'm going to go for a run, which means I get to spend time with a friend. And that's that reward that I get. And when I'm in a depression or a slower space like that, I'm going to just meet my friend for a walk. Or I'm just going to meet my friend, get out of the house and get that reward. And then it just eventually evolves with the motivation, with the momentum that you build by taking the small steps even before you feel like it. So here's a couple strategies to get you started. Start tiny. Like if you already think, because I'm pretty positive that you're probably your own biggest critic. If you're thinking, okay, I know what I need to do, I'm just going to do it. I don't care what you're saying, Emily. I'm just going to do the big thing. I'm really encouraging you not to do that. Take what you need to get done and create like 3 steps to that point. What's smaller? What's smaller than that? What's even smaller than that? Just do that tomorrow. Get some momentum going, and this will get you going. So let's talk about an academic version. So you're really struggling with writing essays, and you have a big one and you've been putting it off. So a tiny approach is sit down, get out your work, write 1 sentence, and be done. Or you're really struggling with keeping your room clean. Set the timer for 5 minutes, do what you can in 5 minutes, and be done. Little tiny steps like this, we're getting that connection in your brain between the action and the reward, the cue, action, and reward going. We're taking little steps. It's all about progress and not perfection in this first jump. Another trick of the mind is if-then planning. If I brush my teeth, then I'll lay on my bed and listen to a song before I put on my shoes. Then I'll listen to another song. Then I'll get my lunch, and so it's like if, then. We have a cue, a behavior, and a response. And this will get you through some really difficult things. And we want to keep it tiny. So it's if I do this tiny thing, put on my socks, then I can have my breakfast. And you're talking yourself through it before you feel like doing it. The third technique is a trick that we're learning from technology, or technology is learning from us, but to gamify your routine. Give yourself a sticker chart. Keep a list of check marks for every day that you do the habit that you're working up to. Keep a progress bar of how far you've gotten in your book that you've been wanting to read and get done. These visual cues are really great for ADHD, but also it's a way to make it a game and not a demand. How much can I get done in 5 minutes to clean my room? You'd be surprised how little bit of time it really takes, but how hard we work to push it off. And then the last brain trick is to find the right motivation. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, but for very empathetic teenagers, a lot of times the motivator isn't going to be grades. It's not going to be money. It's going to be doing something because it's helpful to people and because it's a good thing to do. And so helping your teen understand their values and really what motivates them and why they are trying to do the thing that they're trying to do is going to be very helpful for them. Understanding their why instead of just waving a carrot in front of them or trying to say, well, everybody else is doing it for this reason. It's really connecting with them and what's important to them and why they want to take that step in the long run. So just a few little nuggets to end with here at the end is if you're feeling depressed, if you're really feeling numb or sluggish, these tiny steps can be really hard to nail down. So my ideas are to sit in the sun, get outside and just sit in the sun. Let yourself be there for 15 minutes or so. To listen to a song that's different than how you're feeling and just notice what that's like would be another one. And to do something creative, even if it's really small, like drawing a repeated pattern over and over again, just moving your hand on paper. And so you could try any of those things. And the last little bit I want to leave for the parents of motivating a depressed teenager to start to take these steps is really challenging. They're struggling with getting started. And the more we can do to come around them, I imagine scaffolding, like building a space around them to help hold them up. How much support do they need in order to get started? And they probably need more support to get started than you realize. And they need more support than they do discipline in this kind of situation. It might look like if they're having a hard time getting to school in the morning, okay, at this time, your alarm is going to go off and I want you to stand up in bed or sit up in bed. And then, we'll play some music and we'll make our way to the bathroom. So just lots of support in order to get them going. And then those connections start to be made after those little steps, those little tiny steps are made. And so hanging with them, providing them with that encouragement and support in order to get started, and talk to a therapist. So if you need help in this area, I would love to work with you. You can find my information down below and click the link. And if you are enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. Talk to you soon.